was my turn.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can everybody hear me okay? Good evening. This is the regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for February 17th. Thanks for joining us this evening. Thanks to all the commissioners for the time you dedicated to be here this evening. Gary Belke is not with us this evening, so we will appoint one alternate. Let the record reflect that we call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. And the second item on the agenda is to appoint alternates, and this evening Morgan Yandow will be seated in place of Gary Belke. Thank you for being here tonight. Next item on the agenda is minutes. What's the Commission's pleasure on the minutes for the meeting of February 3rd?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for meeting number 1815 from February 3rd, 2026 as submitted.
Motion by Ryan. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is an opportunity for the public to comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the Commission on anything that is not on the agenda. So if it's on the agenda, this is not the time to speak, but if you'd like to speak to us about anything else, the microphone is yours. Hearing none, we'll move to item 5, correspondence. Any correspondence?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Reports from staff?
No, sir.
Okay. You don't have to call me sir. I spent 30 years in the military, and that was the end of that. So.
Good, because I only call my pets sir.
Okay. That's a good luck. Okay, no reports from staff. Anyone from the Commission have anything they'd like to bring up under item 5 or 6B?
No.
Hearing none, you have a report from the zoning enforcement officer on enforcement and violations. Any questions? Anyone's free to give Candy a call. Administrative review, no items under administrative review?
Nope.
Thank you.
So can I just go back to the commission?
Absolutely.
I just don't want us to forget about the zoning rewrite stuff. We were going to try to schedule a special hearing.
No, that's a very
and
good
I just want to
point.
keep that on the front burner.
And I agree. And just for the public's benefit, we passed a suite of amendments to the zoning rules, the first rewrite in decades of our zoning regulations. And it was a 2.5-year process. In the course of the 2.5 years, I think a lot of very good items came up that frankly were beyond the scope of the work that our consultant did and beyond the scope of the Commission to really study. 2.5 years was the limit of what we could take, and we used up the entire fee of our consultant. But some of those items that we identified we wanted to circle back on, and we're going to seek funds to bring another consultant on board to try to perfect some of those other good ideas that came up that just weren't ready for this round of changes. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so that brings us to item 7, old business. First item under old business is application number PZ25465UP, application of T. Chimento. This public hearing was closed at our last meeting, and voting and discussion was postponed till this meeting. So what is the Commission's pleasure on the application of T. Chimento?
Mr. Chairman, I'll put forward a motion, but I do want to state before I do, this is a tough one as far as how we've been presented with it and the timing. I feel as if had this gone through the process properly, certain things might have been addressed to the satisfaction of all parties. However, unfortunately, we are at the point where there is in fact a retaining wall there. I feel like to rip it down and start all over again would actually cause more harm to all parties than the current situation. That said, I would also like to see if perhaps the applicant could maybe work with the neighbor and neighbors a bit better as far as options for screening. I don't think the applicant is here, so unfortunately you can't get an agreement there. But with that being said, I'll I will make a motion to approve this with 4 stipulations, unless anybody has any other comments they want to make before I do that.
Should we discuss it before or after you make the?
You need a second.
You can put your,
I'll make the motion.
he'll put his
Yeah, okay.
conditions on, then you're right, a second has to be made,
Okay.
then we can discuss.
Okay. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for PZ 2546 SUP Tichamento with the following 4 stipulations. And this motion is to also include the waivers requested as well as the special use permit. The following 4 stipulations are: number 1, the applicant shall address outstanding comments to the satisfaction of the town planner and town engineer as applicable. Number 2, final plan shall be reviewed to the satisfaction of the town engineer and town planner. Number 3, final plan shall be signed by the commission and recorded in the town's land evidence records. And number 4, the applicant shall post an erosion and sedimentation control bond prior to the issuance of a zoning permit. The bond shall be either in the form of a certified check or a revocable letter of credit meeting the requirements of ZR 15.4.3. The bond amount shall be established by the town engineer after an estimate of the cost of installing and maintaining appropriate erosion and sedimentation control measures is provided by the applicant and approved by the town engineer. Work shall remain bonded for a minimum of 1 year from the date of zoning compliance.
Is there a second?
A second for discussion purposes.
Seconded by Dave, thank you both. Discussion?
Want to start or? Morgan, and the,
I have to ask a question. Were you at this meeting, the last meeting?
I was, yes.
You were, okay, great. I'm sorry. I should have asked that before I appointed you this evening, but either you had to have been at the meeting or had listened to the minutes, but you were at the meeting, so you're fully qualified to vote on this. I'm sorry, thank you.
so I can't pull up the letter right now from the, but I think the building inspector went out there and found that the wall was over 5 feet tall and made him take it apart. So right now there's a whole pile of stones piled there. So right now the way it is what he can build. Last meeting, he made an interesting comment, which is that he could terrace it without our approval. You know, he could just do it, he'd have to go back and modify the permit, which I pretty much think would be the best outcome for everyone. I mean, I know, Chimento would lose a little bit of their property line, but this neighbor's already looking at a 5 foot high, what I think is a pretty ugly wall, but I'll try to keep aesthetics out of it. But yeah, and then it would just be terraced a little back there, which personally I think is the better option. So I don't know if that's, I mean, I would look to deny without prejudice in case he can't do that, and then he could come back. I don't think it was you seem like you want to talk. Yeah.
Oh,
No, no.
well, let's see, let's be curious to see.
I mean, I have a lot of concerns about the wall, but I don't think stepping it gets it away from being one wall. I mean, a lot of walls are step back a little bit, and then there's another layer, and that's how you build a really tall wall.
Some
I
of them just
designed
have
a wall that
batter,
was 35 feet tall, and they had to step it back for stability reasons, and it was still one wall. So I don't think stepping it back makes it 2 walls. Like makes it under 8 feet, under 5 feet. If you have like 2, it's the total
If
height
you
of the
terrace
wall.
it, yeah.
I don't think saying like, well, we're gonna terrace it back 6 inches and then go another 5 feet as 2 separate walls. That would be an interesting argument, but I don't think that's true. I think it's right on the property line. I don't think it's designed well. I'm concerned about the stability. They built it to be 5 feet tall, and then all of a sudden they're putting another 3 feet, but the foundation or the crushed stone was only there for 5 feet. So they didn't dig enough of a foundation for an 8 foot tall wall. They built a foundation for a 5 foot tall wall with some crushed stone. Otherwise it'd be, a foundation for that big a wall is gonna be big, and it would be on the other person's property. So I don't think that the stability of the wall is great. It's right on the property, there's no screening. The idea of putting up fake ivy,
Nobody saying fake, but yeah, any kind of screening.
the planting, it would cover it. I'm so on the fence about this, because I can see totally both sides, but I think, coming back to ask forgiveness isn't the way to do it. So they have to tear it down and move it back? Or
Or, I don't know what it would take to call it 2 walls, do you terrace it back if they move the
I
second?
think no matter what,
tier?
it's, I don't know, like another 10 feet or
Yeah.
something. I mean, I don't, that would be an interesting question. Is that, at what point would it be 2 like 2 5-foot tall walls or 1/8?
I think it's one wall because the
No matter
2
what.
walls have an influence on each other, so it is a single
So
system.
no matter what,
Yeah,
terracing isn't gonna work.
It isn't gonna work.
Under, you would have to
I
still
mean,
get the special use
it may
permit.
satisfy the zoning from a structural standpoint, I agree with you. It's, you know, it acts as a single unit, so.
Yeah. So I think even if they terraced it, I don't think you can do that and get around getting a special use permit.
Question, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Would you be more comfortable withdrawing your motion and making a motion to
Sure.
deny without prejudice?
Yeah, but like I said, I'm on the fence about this one, so I just wanted to put something out there for discussion.
Yeah, no, I think that was a good thing to do, but, you know, in a positive vein.
All right, so
But then it's entirely up to you.
no,
But
I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that. So, Mr. Chairman, I'll withdraw my motion to approve the application with the 4 stipulations. I will make a further motion then, a motion to deny with prejudice. Is that what you
Or
guys-
without.
Without prejudice, sorry. Without prejudice, the application. And do it, need a second? I think-
Second,
Second.
thank you, both commissioners. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. And the chair abstains. Moving on to the next matter on the agenda, application, I'm sorry, let's see, they've all continued.
Yep.
So we move now to public hearings. Just before we go into public hearings, again, Morgan, you'll be appointed to sit on these public hearings this evening, in lieu of Gary Belkey. And our procedure is the applicant makes a presentation. After the presentation, the commission asks questions. After that, the public has an opportunity to speak. We have sign-up sheets over here. If you would be kind enough to sign up, and you can speak for, against, or just make a general statement on the application. With that in mind, let's see, 2 of our public hearings, or at least one of our public hearings, we're simply going to open and postpone. So I think we need to read the item first.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to open the public hearing for PZ 2554 SPA and GPP RCP Waterford 2 LLC and Stonington Village Partners and CRT-1 LLC J. Casey. Site plan application to construct 3 36-unit apartment buildings and 3 independent 8-bay garage structures. Properties are located at 85 Voluntown Road, Pawcatuck, M/B/L 18-1-33A, 32A, 32B, and 32C. Zone NDD/HI 60.
That sounded like a combination of a motion and a reading of the legal ad. So a second?
Second.
Seconded, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed? Public hearing is open. Is the applicant present?
Mr. Chairman, I make a
Applicant's not
motion.
present.
Yep.
The applicant has requested here that we simply open the public hearing and immediately continue the application to the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to continue the public hearing that we just opened.
Motion to continue, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, commissioners. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next item, you would, Ryan, read item B.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to open the public hearing for PZ 2602 SUP Fish Camp LLC to Coors Care of W. Sweeney. Special use permit application for the change of use from retail restaurant to restaurant. Property is located at 4 East Main, Mystics, M/B/L 182-1-14. Property is located in the DB5 zone.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The public hearing is open. Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. For the record tonight, my name is Bill Sweeney. I'm a land use attorney and a partner at the law firm of Tobin Carberry, New London. And as always, it's a pleasure to appear before you. Tonight, I represent Fish Camp LLC in connection with a special use permit application to convert Mystic Fish Camp, which is located at 4 East Main Street, which is an existing and fully permitted retail restaurant with approved liquor sales, to a standard restaurant with up to 32 seats. Joining me tonight in the audience, I have Amanda Arling, who represents Fish Camp, and I also have the chef of the restaurant, David Standridge. As some of you might be aware, my client originally obtained approvals for its existing retail restaurant with 8 seats in January of last year. We renovated the former Mystic Toys building to accommodate Mystic Fish Camp. The Mystic Fish Camp opened last August to really tremendous success. If you visited the restaurant recently, you may know that while we only have 8 seats allowed inside the restaurant right now, it is completely not uncommon to have a dozen or more people standing and eating at this venue as it's become so popular. As the Commission is aware, as a result of numerous requests, we came before you last fall to add liquor sales to the retail restaurant, and this was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission at its November meeting. Subsequent to that approval, we then went to the state of Connecticut to obtain a cafe liquor permit from the Liquor Control Commission. Unfortunately, while Fish Camp is a separate legal entity and doesn't have any other liquor permits, the company's beneficial owners, the Heidenreich family, which have, as you know, significantly reinvested in Mystic. They did the historic renovation of both the Whalers Inn and the adjacent Oddfellows property, 11 Cottrell Street. They hold a hotel liquor permit that's associated with the Whalers Inn. Pursuant to state law, the holder of one permit class cannot be the holder of another permit class, even if there's just beneficial ownership, without a statutory exception. Regrettably, there is no exception for hotel liquor permits and cafe liquor permits. So the Liquor Control Commission basically said they could not issue a cafe liquor permit to Mystic Fish Camp. They did note, however, that there is a statutory exception for restaurant liquor permits, and they urged us to apply for that license instead. Unfortunately, the state statutes also require that any premises under a restaurant liquor permit have a capacity for seating of at least 20 seats, which is greater than the number of seats that you allow in retail restaurants here in Stonington. So essentially, we're sort of in a knot. There's a conflict between the zoning restrictions for retail restaurants, which do not allow more than 8 seats, and then there's permit exclusion, and then the restaurant rules from the Liquor Control Act require us to have at least 20 seats. Essentially, that puts us in an untenable situation where Mystic Fish Camp simply cannot serve alcohol unless the restaurant seating is expanded. From our perspective, and I think maybe some of you would agree, this is really an absurd outcome, but we've confirmed this legal interpretation with Liquor Control Commission's staff. So consequently, tonight, what we're doing here is to seek to convert the existing retail restaurant into a standard restaurant with expanded seating. The application that we've submitted to you requests approval for up to 32 seats, though Mystic Fish Camp would only provide 20 or so for most of the year, which is the minimum necessary to meet state liquor requirements. Considering the existing business, we don't believe this is going to increase the number of people frequenting Mystic Fish Camp. It's just going to give a lot of the people who are standing to eat their fish and chips now a place to sit. There'd be no interior or exterior changes to the building in connection with this reclassification of the restaurant, and this is really just about the minor seating expansion. And just as a reminder, as part of our previous approvals, there's no bar provided in there. This is not a place where you sit down and order a drink. All orders are taken at a counter, and all liquor sales, beer, wine, and cocktails have to be served inside the premises. We also agreed as part of our approvals last fall that we're going to be putting signage up in the premises, reminding customers that open alcoholic beverages cannot be removed from the restaurant. Now, Mystic Fish Camp's current parking requirements for the 8 seats require 4 off-street parking spaces. The subject property, and I think you have these in your staff report, has approved 3 parking spaces which are conforming to your regulations. That is a non-conforming condition that was previously approved by the commission. From a fire code standpoint, though, Mystic Fish Camp could have up to 49 seats within that building. We're not looking for anything close to that. The proposed standard restaurant would provide up to a maximum of 32 seats, which would require a total of 10 parking spaces, even though our initial plan and what we intend to implement immediately would be only to have 20 seats offered. To provide these additional parking spaces, we're going to be utilizing the off-site dedicated parking provisions that exist in the zoning regulations that were in place at the time we submitted this application. Like the building at 4 East Main Street that houses Mystic Fish Camp, the Stanton House, which is the former Oddfellows building at 11 Cottrell, is also owned by the Heidenreich family. The Stanton House is a completely separate permitted property from the rest of the Whalers Inn, and it has a total of 15 approved parking spaces in its parking lot. Currently, the Stanton House, with its suites and its employees on site, require only 8 parking spaces per the zoning regulations. And so that leaves a surplus of 7 parking spaces at 11 Cottrell Street. That parking lot at 11 Cottrell Street is within 500 feet of Mystic Fish Camp. And as you know, there are pedestrian sidewalks up and down Cottrell Street linking the two properties. And those two requirements, the 500-foot distance requirement and the sidewalk connection, meet the requirements for dedicated off-site parking under the 28th edition of your zoning regulations. The zoning regulations that apply to this application effectively allow Mystic Fish Camp to utilize the surplus spaces at 11 Cottrell Street as dedicated off-site parking spaces for the new standard restaurant. Together with the 3 spaces that we already have, those 7 surplus spaces will bring us to 10, enough to support up to 32 seats at the restaurant. Last week, on Thursday night, the Police Commission reviewed our request and gave a unanimous approval and positive recommendation for the special permit. Now, we do acknowledge that getting our customers to use those off-site spaces is going to require some education at first, as would be for any use that uses off-site parking. We'll be including language and a map on our website, and we'll also be putting up signage in the restaurant so that our customers, who are returning customers, understand where this additional parking is provided. Immediately, though, we're going to move our employees from Mystic Fish Camp into those off-site parking spaces that will free up all the on-site parking for customers of Mystic Fish Camp. We're not adding any additional employees. All of our orders are still taken from the counter window, and they're served at the counter. And we don't anticipate more customers. We just anticipate that people who are already eating there are going to be able to sit down to enjoy their meal. That will slow down the time people spend there, slow the churn, and it will actually reduce immediate parking needs in the surrounding neighborhood. The Heidenreich family has also agreed to record a declaration on the Stonington land records. This is required by the dedicated off-site parking regulations, permanently dedicating these surplus parking spaces to Mystic Fish Camp as required, again, by your regulations. From our perspective, this is a very minor change in the existing operations of Mystic Fish Camp. Today, as we've indicated, my client often has more than 8 customers in the restaurant, but many people have to stand because of the seating restriction. I would also remind you that the restaurant has very limited hours. It's only open from Thursday to Monday weekly from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So this is not a late night venue. This is not a venue that's going to conflict with other parking demands. It's really for daytime and early evening eating opportunities. Adding these additional seats, from our perspective, is not a material change, especially when my client has surplus parking in the immediate neighborhood, and it meets the requirements of your off-site dedicated parking provision. So with that, I want to thank you for your time and attention this evening. We certainly would appreciate your support tonight for our application. This commission has shown great support for all of the efforts of the Heidenreich family in Mystic. And again, we hope to have that same support tonight. I would reserve, Mr. Chairman, the right of rebuttal at the end of the public portion of tonight's hearing.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions from the commission?
I have one quick question. Do you anticipate having outdoor seating at some point, like in getting rid of these 3 spots?
No, right now, we're in a non-conforming condition right now, Commissioner Morrison. We can't lose any more. We only have those 3 because the toy store was even more non-conforming. And so we really have no other room to go. And so that really limits our ability. We have to provide some level of on-site parking somewhere to support it. So those spaces have to be maintained. Realistically, you can park more than 3 cars in the back, but to meet all of your dimensional requirements, we had to lay them out in our original approval from last year, and you can really fit only 3 when you put in the other, there's some propane tanks and some other things. So no, there's no plans for outdoor seating. We just don't have the room for it.
Any other questions?
Just so the 7 reserved parking spaces, are going to put signs out there for fish camp only?
Yeah, so we're going to put those on that property. We're also going to police it. One of the nice things about that property in particular is we have on-site staff at the Stanton House because we have overnight guests there. So they can manage that just like they manage it today. When we have, and that there's an issue in Mystic with people parking where they're not supposed to. We manage those spots today. We'll be able to notice when somebody parks there that stays too long, who doesn't seem to be affiliated with either the Stanton House operations or outstayed a stay at Mystic Fish Camp. So we have on-site management of that, and we will put up signs as well. Part of it, though, Commissioner Resendez, is really educating the people who come here. We want to make sure that they know that this additional parking exists and get them, our regular customers, and we have a lot of regulars, to understand that they can always find parking in that lot.
I have a question, Bill, that pertains to the parking as well. The declaration that will be filed on the land records, you said it was a permanent declaration?
Yeah, so it's required to be a perpetual declaration. And there has to be language in it that if anything changes between either the property where that parking is and the use that's generating the parking, that it has to come back to this commission for review and approval. So that will be, there's language in the off-site dedicated parking provision that says exactly what that needs to have, and it has to go to your town attorney for review and approval before it's recorded. Often in dedicated off-site parking, you have disparate parties. You've got somebody using somebody else's parking spaces. That's not the case here. We have the owner of 4 East Main Street is Whalers Inn RE LLC. The owner of 11 Cottrell Street is Whalers Inn RE LLC. It's the same party. You still, by the regulation, you still have to put that on the land record so it becomes an encumbrance appurtenant to title.
So then if it were to change from Whalers Inn RELC or whatever you said it was, LLC, would the successors and assigns to Whalers Inn who bought the property get the right of the parking spaces?
Yeah, exactly, and both ways. So if the Heidenreich family has no plans to sell either property, but if either 4 East Main Street or 11 Cottrell sold, it would be a right that runs with the land in benefiting and burdening the 2 properties. So it could sell to 2 different people. That arrangement is still on the land records. Now, if somebody closed the restaurant, then you'd have to come back to you to release that. You become the sort of the caretakers of that going forward.
Great. That's a perfect arrangement. That's what we tried to secure in the new regulations because it wasn't strong enough. So.
And it's particularly good in this situation because it's the same owner. But we still have the obligation. You can't just say, well, it's the same owner, because things happen and properties do change. You need something that is an encumbrance that runs with the land affecting both properties.
Thank you. Any further questions?
I'll be back if you have any more questions. Thank you.
Staff have any comments at all?
Nope.
No
Just real
comments.
quick on staff, I noticed, so I think it mentioned they were at the police commission, so that awaiting comments not valid. How about the building official and fire district marshal for Mystic? Did we get comments back from them?
Not that I know of the building official, not that I know of fire department.
Okay.
Commissioner Deasy,
Yes.
I should say I am not aware of any comments from the building official.
Okay.
The fire marshal did provide comments today that I got a copy of.
Okay.
So they wanted to make sure that for fire requires a what's called an egress plan for the building. They want to make sure it's updated to show more seating inside, which is fine. We're happy to do that.
Okay.
It's something we had to do to get our initial certificate of occupancy. So if you wanted to add a condition that you have to meet fire marshal comments, we have no objection to it. They have independent jurisdiction, so we have to do it anyways.
Okay.
Let me get the sign-up list for public comment. If everybody's done, we'll ask you questions.
Thank you
You have
very
no
much.
further comments on the staff? Okay. Does anyone else want to sign up here? So our first speaker tonight will be Ben Kamsky. Ben, good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
I don't think it's
I
on.
don't see it on yet.
Oh, well. I'll speak loud.
Oh, say next one. Yes, yeah.
This one? There we go. How about that?
Sounds good.
I'm sorry, I could not access the zoning regulations on my phone because of bad reception here. So my comments will be in the form of a question, really. Regarding the remote parking, that parking lot, to my knowledge, is in an RH10 zone. And I believe that the lot that encompasses both the parking lot and the new hotel at 11 Cottrell is a lot that is divided by the zoning boundary. And it's my understanding that a lot that is divided by a zoning boundary, uses on a property have to be allowed in the underlying zone. So in other words, in the RH10 section of property where the parking lot is, the use would have to be allowed in the RH10 zone. Again, my understanding, without having the regulations in front of me, are that RH10 allows parking as an accessory use to a primary use that is allowed in the RH10 zone. In this case, it would be used for a restaurant, which is not allowed in RH10. So I'm wondering if it's appropriate that that parking lot be used as an accessory to a use that is not allowed in that zone. That's it.
I think it's a very good question.
I wish we had a planner.
Yeah, well, we do. But I think in this case, we probably want to talk to Candy about that, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you, Ben. That's a very good question. Next person is it David?
Yeah, it's Andrew.
Sorry, my handwriting's terrible. I got that mic working if you want. Oh, I got that. It's either or, but I got it working. Hi, my name is David Standridge. I'm the executive chef of Shipwright's Daughter and the Mystic Fish Camp, but I'm also a resident of the town of Stonington. I just wanted to shed a little light. Some of this might be a little repetitive to what Bill had said, but when we opened Fish Camp like all of our businesses, one of our big core tenets is to serve the community and to give back to the community. And we do that in a lot of different ways, supporting local charities and trying to support local vendors, fishermen, etc. And one of the things we want to do with Fish Camp is to make it more accessible than shipwrights, particularly to families with kids and to local residents. And I think there's a little bit of a lack of that in downtown Mystic in particular, businesses that cater towards locals, especially families. And one of the big issues that we had immediately, which we didn't really anticipate, we thought people would be happy to stand and eat, just maybe that was our mistake, but children and older guests really struggled with this eating. I have kind of a list of online reviews here that we get, and many of them love the restaurant, but they unfortunately don't love the seating. In fact, like when my family comes in, our kids kind of sit on the floor and eat because we don't want to take seats from the guests. And we often have a full room. And really with fire code, we're allowed to have 49 people standing in the space. And we very often have more than 30 people standing in the space and eating. So this really isn't growing our footprint at all. In fact, I think it's actually shrinking our footprint. And that's all.
Thank you. I applaud your artistic culinary creations.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Hannah Cedarmore.
Hi. Hi. I wrote this as a letter, so sorry, because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to be here tonight, so I'm just going to read what I wrote. All right, so I am here to express my strong support for Mystic Fish Camp's special use permit application for the change of use from retail restaurant to restaurant, allowing for more seats beyond the current limit of 8. As a Stonington resident, a member of the Economic Development Commission, a member of the Plan of Conservation and Development Steering Committee, and the chair of the Housing Opportunities Commission, I care deeply about supporting small, locally rooted, responsible businesses that help maintain the character and vitality of our community. Mystic Fish Camp, led by David and Kathleen Standridge, embodies the spirit of our town. David and Kathleen are not only talented, dedicated professionals, but also friends, fellow residents, and parents who my husband and I have had the pleasure of getting to know over the past few years. David and Kathleen are deeply committed to our community and have invested their time, energy, and beautiful creativity into building a place where residents and visitors can gather, share a meal, and enjoy being a part of our town. Their hard work and unique vision have brought new energy, care, and creativity to the area, as well as a real pride in our town's fishing scene with a focus on local wild-caught seafood. So the current limit of the current 8-seat limit is inhibiting the accessible, the family-friendly, welcoming atmosphere. Allowing for more seats will make the restaurant more accessible and comfortable, especially for children and older adults, and families who wish to sit and enjoy their meals rather than stand and eat quickly or take their food elsewhere. Additional seats would allow people to dine safely and comfortably while maintaining the relaxed, small-scale character that aligns with the town's vision for a vibrant yet balanced commercial development. Without this adjustment, customers may be inclined to take their food to nearby parks or outdoor spaces, which could inadvertently lead to more litter and strain on public maintenance. More seating, by contrast, will support responsible waste management, local economic vitality, and community gathering, values that I believe align with the town's broader goals for sustainability and livability. I understand that some may be concerned about the potential for increased traffic. However, I don't believe that adding seats will meaningfully change traffic patterns or congestion in the area. Mystic Fish Camp generally serves people who live locally or who are visiting their friends who live locally in the surrounding neighborhoods, or folks who are stopping by on their already planned visits to downtown Mystic. What this change will allow is those existing residents and visitors to have a better experience and will not create a sudden influx of new traffic. Mystic Fish Camp is exactly the kind of thoughtful, community-oriented business that makes our town thrive, small in scale, locally owned, and deeply connected to the fabric of our town. Supporting this special use permit and allowing for the additional seats not only benefits the business, but will also ultimately benefit the town. Thank you for your consideration, and thanks.
Thank you.
Can I have that letter for an exhibit?
Sure, I can give it to you after. Thanks. Do it now.
Yeah.
Next speaker is Ariane.
Ariane?
Ariane? Did you call back?
Yes, it's 8.
Good evening.
I go by Andy.
Sorry if I
No,
murdered
you're
your
fine.
name.
I'd love to see additional seating at the Mystic Fish Camp. Mermaid fries are practically a staple for my young family. I'm coming at this from a place of community and being very community oriented. I see additional seating providing a welcoming space for visitors and locals who are already here and enjoying downtown Mystic. Having more seating is welcoming, which our town is about, and has been welcoming to me since I moved here in 2018. As a result of feeling included and brought into the community and into the fold, I have joined committees for the Stonington Free Library and on the board for the LaBrua Center. I have supported many fundraisers. And what that does tell me is that when a town treats its people and all its people with kind, welcoming arms, those people give back, and there's a reciprocal nature of support and effort. And that ultimately is what yields connection and cultivates community. That's where my mind goes when I hear about additional seating. I think of walking into Mystic Fish Camp and knowing there's room for families like mine, for the grandparents who come with us or come with their own grandchildren after going to the seaport. People want to come together and enjoy a meal together, and I would love to be able to see Mystic Fish Camp offer that to more people. And finally, additional seating. I think, in my opinion, there's a whole science of mattering around this sort of stuff, but like when you have these things, people feel that they matter, and when people feel that sense that they matter, again, they do more for others in the community and for their community. So I see this as a win.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the audience that would like to make a comment? Anyone else before Mr. Our attorney speaks again? Bill, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the residents who spoke in favor of the application. I was aware of Mr. Tamsky's concern about the application. He contacted the planning department last week regarding this, and Ms. Palmer notified me, as well as Taylor and also Manuel, who are serving as our interim planners. Back in 2021, when we modified the Oddfellows project, Mr. Tamsky raised similar concerns about the use of parking at 11 Cottrell. 11 Cottrell is a split zone parcel. The rear portion of the property is located within the RH10. However, that is a permitted use in the RH10. If you look at the accessory use regulations that were in effect when this parking lot was built and in the 28th edition, which is what applies to this application, accessory parking is permitted. We're applying under a special permit under 13.2.4, which is your dedicated off-site parking requirements. There is no mention or requirement within that you must have it, your off-site parking be in a dedicated principal parking lot. You can absolutely use an accessory parking lot and accessory parking for off-site dedicated parking. There's nothing that says you can't within 13.2.4. More importantly, I confirmed with Candy after I was made aware of Mr. Tamsky's concerns that the 2001 approval was proper and lawful, that our 2003 modification, which changed the ground floor to all hotel use, that was proper and conforming. And I confirmed with Kathy, Manuel, and Taylor that this application for dedicated off-site parking was also conforming to the regulations. Obviously, though, subject to a special permit from this body. You'll see a staff report that's been entered into the record. That staff report was generated after Mr. Tamsky's concerns. There's no mention of this issue being a concern. There's no mention of it being an outstanding issue. So as far as I'm concerned, it's resolved. I understand and respect Mr. Tamsky greatly. I understand he has an opinion on this issue. I disagree with it respectfully, and I think Taylor can confirm, because I know she was copied on the emails, that this conversation was had with Ms. Palmer, and I did make my case, and Ms. Palmer agreed with my interpretation of the regulations.
I can confirm we had this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time and attention tonight, and really look forward to moving forward with this project and hopefully making Mystic Fish Camp a much more welcoming place and a much more economically viable one as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Bill. Does anyone else wish to Any additional time? Ben, do you want any rebuttal at all? Okay. One last time, any further comment from anyone? Whether you've signed up or not? Hearing none, what's the commission's pleasure on closing the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearing for PZ 2602 SUP Fish Camp LLC T Corps care of W. Sweeney.
Motion to close, is there a second?
Second.
Made and seconded, any discussion? Just one item on, if we're going to request Candy to make an opinion on this, but I think you confirmed.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Taylor confirmed it, unless
That's
others
good
have a
enough.
concern.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Okay, then if there's no other discussion, all in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. What's the commission's pleasure on this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion and combine the waivers requested and the special use permit, if that's permissible.
It's allowed.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application, both the waivers requested and the special use permit for PZ 2602 SUP Fish Camp LLC T Corps care of W. Sweeney with the following two stipulations. Number one, final parking agreement shall be reviewed to the satisfaction of the town planner. And number two, the applicant will address the fire district marshal's comments and provide the updated egress plan as requested.
Motion to approve with conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
Maybe seconded. Thank you both. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Evening. Ryan, if you would, item 8C.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for PZ 2603 SUP and CAN Generation 4 LLC, H+H Engineering Associates LLC, care of S. Moran. Special use permit application and coastal area management review for the modification of previously approved special use permit PZ 2410 SUP plus CAM to include modifications to building square foot and impervious area. Property is located at 19 Jackson Avenue, Mystic, M/B/L 174-19-8. Property is located in the LS5 zone.
Motion made to open the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Public hearing's open. Seamus, I believe you have the mic, sir.
Good evening, Commission. Thank you for having us, and thank you for your time tonight. My name is Seamus Moran. I work for H&H Engineering Associates in Mystic, and I'm representing the applicant, Generation 4. I'm joined in the back row by several people who are going, some might participate, some won't participate today, hopefully, but Chad Frost, who is walking in here from Kenton Frost, will be joining us and speaking after me. Peter Zelkin and Kaylee Wyatt are the two behind. There's Peter. He's with Generation 4. Jesus Martinez is right over here. He's with Silver Petrocelli Architects. And Scott Tracy is from Carlin Construction. Hopefully I can speak loud enough. I need to do things with my hands up here rather than with the microphone.
If someone in the back can't hear and they want to move up, please do so now. Can we hear good enough to record?
That microphone seems to be dead, by the way. Oh, sorry, I thought you were going for the handheld.
If it's all right, I will speak while this thing is I'm about to lose it. There we go.
You're having a structural failure.
Thank you for having us. So our project is located at 19 Jackson Avenue. It may look very familiar. We were here 2 years ago in August of 2024 for almost the exact same application. We're on the little extension of Jackson Avenue, so if you were on the corner of Main Street and hop over, all the way down the end of the street on the left-hand side is this building now. This is in the LS5 districts, and this is a mixed-use development we're proposing, which is what triggers a special exception, special permit. We were granted a special permit approval in 2024. We're here for modification of that approval. So what you see here is the current existing conditions of the property. If you remember the property, there's an existing commercial building along the northern property line, another commercial building along the southern property line, and a sea of asphalt everywhere else on the property. Jackson Avenue is on the left-hand side of this page, and this is the current existing condition. What you see on this next sheet here is our proposed condition as of today. What's on the left side is the improved condition from 2024. What you notice is it's very similar. The major changes are that the building footprint on the proposed condition got smaller, almost 1,100 square feet smaller, and we added additional parking spaces. So on the old plan that you see a little bit of a cutout, we found that it would be challenging getting in and out of the garages, so we filled that space in. We now have 20 total on-site parking spaces proposed, 14 of which are striped parking spaces and 6 are in the garages. So with the reduction of the residential units, we also were eliminating this little appendage we were proposing on the commercial building, so that is going away. So the gross floor area on the property is coming down significantly. We're providing additional parking, and the units go, what was previously approved as 3 3-bedroom units are now 3 2-bedroom units, so we're reducing the project by 3 bedrooms. So now it's 3 2-bedroom units in this building here. And I'm sure you don't remember what the architecturals were in 2024. They're completely different. I guess that's the big change, is the architectural elevations, floor plans. That's kind of the big change, and that was spurred by some cost complications with what we're dealing with the old plan. So just high level is I'll go through kind of an overview of the plans. Chad will talk about the landscaping, and then Mr. Martinez will just go over the architectural plans, and we can open it up for comments. The grading and drainage plan is simple. If you remember, there's all of this sheet flows to the back of the property. This is a bioretention trench that is designed to have 12 inches of a soil mix. It's sand, topsoil, and compost, designed to treat stormwater runoff. And this has been designed back in 2024. We were under the previous water quality manual, which is the 1-inch storm event for the water quality event. Now it's 1.3 inches, so this has been redesigned slightly to accommodate the 1.3-inch storm event, which is the water quality event now. So it's slightly bigger, accommodates slightly more water. So that's the only significant change, is that the bioretention trench got slightly larger, but it still fits within the footprint that was there. What's shown off the property, all of these proposed improvements, these were proposed back in 2024. This is a town project to fill this wetland and convey this stormwater that was back here through a pipe system instead. That's actually complete now. I just don't have an as-built information, so I'm still showing the proposed condition, but that's actually been completed now. So these structures and this piping has all been installed by the town. So that's no longer proposed now, that's existing, but on my plan it still says proposed because I don't have an as-built condition. Utilities, water and sewer are available in the street. We're connecting to both of those. WPCA did give a letter saying that the increase in flows is appropriate. Even though there's a moratorium, it still fits within the allowable increase. So we do have approval from WPCA. The soil erosion and sediment control plan, very similar. We have a topsoil stockpile area, construction entrance, silt fence along the down gradient limits, erosion control matting on steep slopes, and a concrete washout area, all shown on the plan. We do have a photometric plan as well shown. We do have 3 light fixtures, one in this location here, and then, 4 fixtures, one in this location here, 2 along the commercial building, and 1 next to the new proposed building out the street. We did ask for a few waivers on the application. Let me just go over those quickly. One is the drainage analysis. The reason we asked for drainage analysis waiver is because there's no drainage structures on the property now. It's everything sheet flows to the stormwater management system. I'm not sure if that technically requires a waiver, but since there's no drainage structures on the property, we asked for a waiver, and we're managing stormwater appropriately as it is. The traffic impact study, we requested a waiver in 2024. We've requested another waiver today. It's a very small traffic generator. Archaeological study, the property has been developed for many years, almost, I think it was like 90 years, I believe it is, 1930 was when it was first developed. So we requested a waiver of the archaeological study, and also the shadow plan, which is what we requested last go around as well. Town comments, just before I pass it off to Chad, there were no outstanding town comments. The town engineer got back to us with a very quick review after we submitted. We addressed those comments, and he issued a letter of approval on February 3rd. The floodplain manager approved it on February 9th. The building official, we haven't received any comments from him, but we would expect those at the building permit phase. As I mentioned, WPCA noted the flows are allowed. No comments from the ZEO. The fire marshal, we didn't receive any comments. The only other thing that we didn't receive comments from is from DEEP. This is a CAM application. We haven't received comments yet. Today is day 29. Given that it's almost the same application that we submitted the last time, the 4 comments that they had before from 2024 were that they discourage development in the flood zone. We're in the flood zone. It's elevation AE 11. They discourage, that's kind of a boilerplate one that they include, is that they don't want to have any increased construction in flood zones. But they commended the application that it meets flood regulations. The buildings are elevated above the base flood elevation, as they are in this situation as well. So I would expect that to be a similar comment. The third comment was that they wanted us to include enhanced stormwater management improvements, possibly. As I mentioned, we did increase to a 1.3-inch storm event over the 1-inch storm event. And that was reviewed and approved by the town engineer, Mr. Trinkus. And the last one is that there's no dry egress from the site. That's still going to be the case in any situation on here, because the property is very flat. So again, those comments are not from right now, but those are the comments we received from 2 years ago, and I would expect almost identical comments since it's an identical application. With that, I think I'll give it along to Chad if he wants to go over some of the landscaping. Sure.
We'll hold for comments. I'm sure everybody will have questions, but we'll hold the questions till the end.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chad Frost from Kent Frost Landscape Architecture. For the record, happy to be back in front of you with this commission again. As Seamus alluded to, this application is very, very similar than the last one, just smaller from a footprint and impact, which did leave us a little bit more room to do some landscaping. But what I will also remind you of, this is on our plans, Jackson Avenue is running down the side. One of the changes that was true of the last application holds through this one is that we are putting in a little bit of streetscape feature. Right now, as Seamus said, there is the pavement of Jackson Avenue just extends basically from Jackson Avenue to the very back of this property. There is no curb, there's no definition, there's no real idea where the property starts and stops. We are putting in 2 parallel spaces and a sidewalk and some minor street trees and some of that street frontage that we all know and want to be able to create that atmosphere on Jackson Avenue along the edge. And we're continuing it up to the edge so that if the town wants to continue that north as it goes through to the rest of town, it's there and can tie into it. Landscape-wise, we did modest landscaping in front of each of the units. It looks kind of like townhouse style so that people could landscape themselves if they want to add some perennials in there. We did put a few street trees where we could. We have overhead wires, we have limited space, we have building proximity that we dealt with. We landscaped up the existing commercial building. As we came around the back, the real screening that we did, and I think we talked about this a couple years ago, is there are a few residences to the north that aren't protected, if you will, by the building here. And we added some pine trees, white pines, which is not a tree we use very often. But in this situation, it made a lot of sense. There's actually some existing screening and a very large tree on the neighbors to the north. So the screening down low is pretty robust. Normally with white pines, we expect the bottom of those trees to kind of die out over time. So we put the pines here so they can grow up tall, so we can kind of block the views from the second story of the residences into the second story of these. And so that's why we chose that tree in that location, as opposed to just another typical, screening tree that would be down low and just duplicate what's already there next door. And then we basically were able to plant everywhere that wasn't pavement or wasn't part of the stormwater filtration with some native and naturalized plants and grasses for the most part. Again, I think very simple and a reduction from the original application. And so with that, that's effectively a very simple landscape plan. I'll turn it over to Jesus to go through some of the architectural changes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jesus Martinez, for the record. I represent Silver Petrocelli and Associates. For the design of the project, which I want to say that we were honored by receiving approval by the Architectural Design Review not too long ago. But for the design that we actually put together, we wanted to represent and capture focuses on the what's the downtown, focusing on the downtown aspects of the area. So we try to capture the similar details for the new concept of the project. As you can see, it's related with, it's basically three individual residential apartments, townhouse apartments. The first floor is basically a garage and an entry area into the space. Second floor is basically the living area with the kitchen and dining and living space, and then 2 bedrooms on the very third floor. Most of the characters of the facades on the outside, it's related to what's considered Victorian, and we decided to add some bay windows just to mimic what is actually related to the street area and residents throughout within the area. The roof brings basically the height of the building a little lower, which is in regulation to what it's required, which is 32 feet. The dormers are basically related to what's within the area as well. Each of the apartments are basically about 3,000 square feet, and the footprint for the building is about 66 and 42 as it goes to the back of the building. In terms of the first floor, we're maintaining everything that is related with FEMA regulations. The structure, it's basically considered a foundation will be lifted up to 6 feet, which is 1 foot higher than what FEMA requires for that area, which is, it will be at 13 feet, but the elevation of the first floor is practically 7 feet at the moment. So it will be a foot higher than that. And if there's any other questions or anything like that, please.
Any questions to the architect or any of the experts that testified here at the commission?
So the bottom floor where the cars park, is that, we have vents or breakaway walls or something in there? Is that?
Yes, they are vents related to the first floor. There's 3 on the back and 3 on the front, 1 on the side. Each vent is basically 200 square feet capacity. Just lost. Full class.
Just sort of expand that question, what's the 100-year flood elevation, and what's the finished floor elevation of the first floor?
The FEMA regulations for this area is 12 feet. The elevation of the first floor is 7. We're going to be 6 feet higher with a concrete foundation wall condition. So we're going to be a foot higher than what, we're meeting what the requirements are, which is 13 feet.
Okay.
First floor elevation of living space.
First floor
Not the
elevation
basement
of
floor, the little-
16.
16.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's above the 100-year flood?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead. You were.
No. I like the architectural design, it's a nice looking building.
Yeah,
I think it fits
Very nice job.
along that street too, because there's a house on the corner that they've redone, and I think that really
Yeah,
complements.
there's one of the mason insert.
What are the two structures on either side that you have there?
Well, it's the actual existing buildings. It's going to be sitting between two commercial buildings that are currently there.
Okay, those are correct.
Yes.
And you own the old Mystic Oil one on the left and the other one?
Mystic is
Another one.
on this side,
Yep.
which owns the property.
Do we know what's happening in that building? That's not part of this application.
It's not part.
That's a stainless building? A stainless steel
No.
building? Yeah, that one,
Any other questions? I have one question for Seamus. You mentioned your bioretention swale. Is there a discharge from the bioretention swale?
Yes, there is. So that swale, it's a line system, actually. I probably should have gone over this in more detail.
No, that's
here.
okay. I just want to know where it discharges.
Sure. There's an underdrain in the base of the swale that discharges to a new manhole on our property that discharges to a catch basin that was installed. This was worked out before they installed all of this. This was worked out that we were going to be connecting to that new catch basin on the property to the south, on the road property. So that was worked out 2 years ago, so that this underdrain pipe in the bottom of the trench discharges to a manhole to the offsite catch basin.
And did the impervious area increased or decreased from the last application?
It actually increased a little bit from the last application because we filled in an area that didn't have parking with just stripe now, just so it would be easier for management, and so nobody backed into curbs or light poles or anything
Okay,
like
the
that.
town engineer has approved it, so.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Staff have any comments?
Nope.
No questions from the commission? I think we'll move to public input. Has anyone signed up on the? Chad, the boathouse is looking good.
It is looking good.
Yeah.
Just wait till you're upstairs. It's gorgeous upstairs.
The permits took longer than, the core permits took longer than the construction.
I would agree.
Really a nice
Have you
project.
been watching the living shoreline stuff really?
Nice stuff,
It's pretty
really.
incredible. So, the big changes come in the spring as it all goes in. It's looking good.
Looking real good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. We have one speaker signed up to speak. Do you want to leave the charts up there for your comments? or- Okay. Joanne Durant, good evening.
Yes, good evening. I just have one concern, and that is, I know that the town installed all the new piping along the street, but still, at the end of the street, there is a drain which doesn't go anywhere. It's probably, I don't know how deep it is, maybe 6, 8 feet, I have no idea. But bottom line is, when we have a lot of rain, or like the snow even melting right now, that area is filled with water. And so I'm concerned that if more water comes out from the townhouses you call, how is that going to affect that area? It seems like it's going to be worse instead of better. That's my question. My concern is the amount of water that we already have flowing out there at the end of my street.
I understand.
Is it going to be better or worse?
So there's an existing issue.
Yes, it is, yes. And I just couldn't believe that the drain we had there, questioned at one time because we were getting so much water. And they said, well, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's just my concern.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this application that hasn't signed up? Anyone either for, against, or just a general comment? Hearing none. Seamus, do you wish any rebuttal?
Sure. We are reducing impervious coverage on the site, so it is reducing runoff from our site, but very minutely, of course. We're in a flood zone, so this whole area does flood. Obviously, we do know that, and I think the concern is that the off-site improvements she's alluding to just kind of discharge to nowhere. And I believe, so there is some underground, some piping that's shown on some other mapping. I think there's a culvert, a 4x6 I think it was, or something similar, a box culvert that goes underneath the railroad tracks, and it might not be very visible, but I believe it exits underneath the railroad tracks through a box culvert, and if it does back up, there must be a pinch point somewhere. I'm not sure if they cleaned that out. I'm sure they probably cleaned that out when they were doing these improvements in this area.
They clean it out once in a while.
You can't talk to each other, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You have to talk to us, Seamus.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And if Joanne has additional questions, that's just the way it works, I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
Anyway, so I do think there is a culvert that goes under the railroad tracks and discharges to the south. I don't think it just ends on this property, but this is a flood zone and it does flood in this area. I don't think our project is that, I know it won't exacerbate the existing pre-existing condition that's out there. We're reducing impervious coverage and we're managing stormwater on our property with the development, so.
Let me ask you this question.
Sure.
If you're detaining the first 1.3 inches in the water quality units, aren't you decreasing the amount of water that flows off-site? Because that's detained, that's retained on site. So aren't you shaving the peak from what exists now?
My model can't show that but some of that water that gets into the soil is detained in the soil. So there's what we're designing is a 12 inches of
there's
soil.
overflow. And,
yeah.
And does the overflow reflect that there's a decrease in runoff offsite?
But the way we have to model it is we show it going through that soil into the underdrain and out. So we're not showing that it's exfiltrating. What's happening is it's absorbing in, some of that is absorbing in that bioretention trench that we can't show in our model. So our model shows that it is reducing peak rates because we're reducing impervious.
Right.
So it is, our condition is going to be improving the flooding minutely. It certainly won't make it worse, but it will make it better, and it's going to improve stormwater quality as well. So it's a better situation.
And you're thinking that the area that Joanne described might be tributary to a railroad culvert?
If the issue is she couldn't tell where it was going from this last manhole, there's some mapping that suggests there's a culvert that goes underneath the railroad tracks. I didn't inspect that. I didn't go out there and see it.
So this is an off-site condition?
Yes, I believe so.
You know, what you may want to do is speak to the town engineer, specifically the assistant town engineer. He's an expert in drainage. And if it's something like a culvert is clogged under a railroad, which is very, very frequently the case because the railroad doesn't maintain the drainage systems that were installed at the turn of the century, the last century. And no, I wasn't around then, but I've had a lot of experience with the railroad and culverts that pass beneath the railroad and obstructions in those culverts. Seamus suggested it might be obstructed, it could even be collapsed. But the railroad ultimately will deal with those situations. So your conduit to the railroad is the town engineer or the assistant town engineer, and I strongly recommend you raise this issue with him.
All right, thank you.
If it's backwater from flooding, you know, in the sound, there's nothing we can do. But if it happens as frequently as you suggest in minor rainfall events, it sounds like something's obstructed there.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you, Seamus. Okay, if there's no one else that wishes to speak, what's the commission's pleasure on closing the public hearing?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to close the public hearing for PZ 2603 SUP and CAM Generation 4 LLC, H&H Engineering Associates LLC, care of S. Moran.
Motion to close. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Public hearing is closed. What is the commission's pleasure on?
Mr. Chairman, I think I'll make two motions, one on the waivers and then a second for the CAM and special use permit application. So for the first, I'd like to make a motion to approve the waivers that were requested by the applicant with no stipulations.
Motion to approve the waivers with no stipulations. Is there a second?
A second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion to approve the waivers passed unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve both the coastal area management application and special use permit application with the following 4 conditions. Number 1, final plan shall be reviewed to the satisfaction of the town engineer and town planner. Number 2, final plan shall be signed by the commission and recorded in the town's land evidence records. Number 3, the applicant shall post an erosion and sedimentation control bond prior to the issuance of a zoning permit. The bond shall be either in the form of a certified check or a revocable letter of credit meeting the requirements of ZR 15.4.3. The bond amount shall be established by the town engineer after an estimate of the cost of installing and maintaining appropriate erosion and sedimentation control measures is provided by the applicant and approved by the town engineer. Work shall remain bonded for a minimum of 1 year from the date of zoning compliance. And number 4, just to put a sort of point on it, that the applicant will address any CTD comments that are received.
Okay, a motion to approve both the CAM permit and the special use permit with 4 conditions. Is there a second?
Second.
It's seconded. Thank you both. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Chair abstains. Motion passes. Thank you. Has everyone seen the future public hearings?
Yeah.
Do any of these applications have to be accepted at all tonight?
No.
Okay. Then I don't think there's any further business to come before the commission. The appropriate motion is in order.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn this hearing.
No second required. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you all very much.